Hey guys, I'm here with Tahir in Tirana at Skanderbeg Square today to talk about creating a business in Albania and how that might be beneficial to you in your move abroad. Before we get started, we'd love it if you would subscribe to the channel, follow along with our journey. We release videos every Tuesday and Thursday, and we're doing our best to keep you informed about what life is like living in Albania. All right, Tahir, let's talk about a business and why this makes sense for so many people coming from the US, from the EU, and the rest of the world.
Sam, it's very, because obviously we've been together through this road of you opening your business here. And it's very straightforward. The minimum capital is only €1. And as I've told you, you only have to have an address here. And it can be very easy. Like there's no extra documentation or anything like that.
It's also a very straightforward path to residency for a lot of people who might not qualify in other ways. This is actually the path we took to residency, which gives Americans and I think other nationalities a lot higher chance at getting a 5-year permit initially, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. From my experience, of course, anyone from the US, you can apply, are qualified to apply for 5 years. But it depends on the immigration office if they're going to give you 5 or 1. And from my experience, business owners that apply for a business residency have a higher chance of getting the 5 years.
I think another thing that's important for at least Americans to understand, and I think a lot of people from other Western countries, is it's very simple to operate a business here, and there's a lot of business opportunity. So Albania is a rapidly developing country, and there are a lot of skill sets that aren't as present here as there are in other places. So the skills that you have may really be in demand here.
Yeah, as we've talked, there's a lot of opportunities here in Albania. And you've been in business in the US, and you kind of told me in the beginning of the process that this is so much easier, so much different than it is in the US. And I think that's why you have like a pleasant experience. And that's why I think that it's very easy for everyone to do that.
There's not the level of regulation and complexity in a lot of different business practices. Yes, you still need licensing. There are rules to follow, but they're manageable. You don't need insane amounts of capital. You don't need tons of on the clock accountants and lawyers. It's straightforward, it's simple, and there's opportunity. We see people moving here doing a variety of things, especially e-commerce related, digital marketing, these sorts of things. They're very good opportunities here potentially. And I think at least for us in my background as a digital consultant, those are skills that are transferable. I can do the same work from Albania operating from my Albanian business.
Yeah, that's kind of been a lot of, a lot of my clients that have come here. They usually have a business or working online, and they're kind of either working online as a digital nomad or they're setting up their own thing here. And, I think that especially on the tech industry, here's lacks a lot of it. So there's a lot of opportunities, at least in that part, for sure.
There are lots of areas where if you have the knowledge and the skill set, you can create something. We also see people that open restaurants or cafes or coffee shops. I might caution you, there are a lot of coffee shops in Albania, so I don't know that I'd come here to open that personally. But specialty food, like that's a huge market. I know of 2 Chinese restaurants in Tirana. So there's a lot of room for growth in a lot of sectors.
Yeah, if there's someone watching this video, like a business owner, I would say don't come here for a coffee shop, but please open some food variety. We need more and more of that, more foreign cuisines. There's a lot of opportunities for it. Like we have like only a few Asian restaurants or from South America, barely any of it. So
There's like not a good Mexican restaurant that I've ever discovered.
not really. No.
And I think it's also important to understand that like maintaining a business here is pretty straightforward. There are some monthly taxes that you need to pay. I think you can talk more about how that works. But other than that, I mean, there isn't complex regulation to deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah, the minimum taxes that you're paying is basically just the health and social insurances of the employees of your company. And if you're a one-man company, especially in the beginning, you're only going to pay like 130 euros a month, and that's kind of it what you're paying in that regard. And even when it comes to you actually having income, we're talking about you have zero tax on income until you have 8,000 gross income a month. So that's pretty high. And even from someone that is actually actively operating the business, even when it comes to the income tax is 0% until 8,000 a month gross income. Albania gives a lot to new businesses, new freelancers to start, gives a hand.
So just to reiterate that, you can make up to 8,000 euros a month and you pay 0% in corporate taxes on that. That's huge for a lot of people. Taxes are complicated for expats. And while as an American, there is not a tax treaty between the two countries, and this comes up all the time. But there are a lot of paths in Albania where revenue is not taxed again. I think that's important for people to understand. Tahir recently wrote a blog that we have on our website about digital nomads and how they don't pay taxes for the first 12 months in Albania on their income.
Yeah, like any income that's not related directly to Albania, doesn't have Albanian customers, or it's not from a business here in Albania, there's no added taxes for that, especially for digital nomads who have it even by law that they could stay here for 6 months with tax-free on their income that they have in the US, for example.
Guys, it's important to remember, you need to talk to an accountant, probably an accountant in the US, a tax professional in the US, as well as somebody here and an attorney to make sure that these things are all accurate as you move forward with setting up your business. Tahir can definitely help you. You need to vet these things, but this is very, very good for people to know. And in our experience over the last month, just over the last month, talking to hundreds of people, very few people realize this benefit of Albania.
You know, information from professionals help, and you're always welcome to open your new business here.
Let's start by talking about the kinds of businesses you can open here. In the US, you can open things like an LLC, a sole proprietorship, a partnership. What are the equivalents of those in Albania?
We exactly have those. We have a sole proprietorship and the LLC, which are the two most used type of businesses here in Albania. And when it comes to taxes, there's not a difference between those two. The only difference is what is your preference. If you want to have like a legal name of the business, or if you want to have more partners, then obviously LLC is the path for you. If you don't want to have any other partners or anything, then you can just open a sole proprietorship.
So an LLC here is called a shipika. What is a sole proprietorship called?
Person physique, which translates to physical person.
And how does liability work? So in America, one of the big barriers to opening a business is liability insurance. You have to have insurance for everything, and it is crazy expensive sometimes.
You don't have to have insurance for anything really here. The only thing that you're paying, it's the government health and social insurance, which is 120 euros a month for the employees of the company. So there's nothing added for that. No private health insurance companies to put together or buy or anything like that.
What about like malpractice insurance or liability insurance if somebody falls down in your restaurant? How does stuff like that work?
It's nothing like in the US in that way. Your business will not get in trouble for any of that. Anyone can petition anything in the court, but we don't have the same liability laws that you guys have in the US for that type of stuff.
So, okay, you can petition something in the courts. How does the court system work? Are you going to get sued and drugged through court for years if someone files a claim?
So the judge will consider the court case, and if it doesn't have a leg to stand on, they could throw that out in a few months. Obviously, anyone can petition anything, but the judge decides pretty easily if that's something doesn't really have any valuable to it, petition to it.
That makes sense. Guys, what we're telling you is it's very straightforward and simple to operate a business here. I kind of equate this sometimes to like America in 1980, if you will. My point is it's simpler. Everything is simpler here. And again, like this is a viable path to residency. So if you're not old enough to have your pension yet, if you're not in a position to buy real estate, you don't want to buy real estate here, but you do want longer term residency, and you have some marketable business skills, you should really think about Albania.
Yeah, I've talked about with clients, and I tell them that, oh, an option for you would be a business, and they kind of get like question it because they're like, well, we don't have the time, we don't want to operate a business. And what I need to tell them is that you don't need to. You can just have it registered and pay the minimal taxes. There is no law against you not making any money in your business.
So when I hear that, I think like holding company for Americans. Some people set up businesses just to put assets in or to operate out of. That's a viable thing to do here if you want to set up a path to residency. Let's talk about what it takes to open a business. You need to do some paperwork, pay somebody something. What does that look like?
So the process is very easy, straightforward, doesn't require a lot of documents. One of the documents it requires is a bank account, either from the US or Albania, that shows that you have 500,000 lek in the balance, the equivalent to that in the US dollars. I think currently that's $6,200, but you will always have to look up the 500,000 lek because we know the dollar goes up and down. So anyway, and other documents that you would need is qualification documents, which is either a diploma or a certificate or a license, which is related to the type of business that you're opening.
Do you need the qualification document to open the business or just if you're applying for residency?
Just applying for the residency. When it comes to the business, all you need is the passport and the address where the business is going to be.
To summarize that, to open a business here, you need a passport and an address. If you want to use that business to apply for residency, you need to show proof that you have 500,000 lek in a bank account. That can be an American bank account, an Albanian bank account, and you need a qualification document. So that's a diploma, a reference letter, things like that.
Certificate, yeah.
Okay. Again, it's really simple. It's really simple. Coming from America, I was honestly shocked at how simple it was. We paid Tahir a few $100s. A few days later, our business was open, and we were on a path to residency.
Yeah, it only takes a few days, like even 48 hours after you submit the application, and you will have your business registered.
So a lot of people, when they start digging into how do I set up a business, et cetera, they run into something called e-Albania. You could theoretically go to e-Albania and set up the business yourself. I would advise hiring an attorney. It's pretty straightforward. Can you tell us more about what e-Albania is, how this works, and how people need to think about that and interact with it?
You could definitely use it yourself to open the sole proprietorship. I would just make a difference that you cannot open the LLC option. For the LLC, you would need to have an account in e-Albania, and in order to have that, you need to have a residence permit. So the only way in that regard would be to hire someone and give them power of attorney so they can open that for you.
Look, my advice, it doesn't matter what kind of business you want to open, hire an attorney. It's very straightforward. It's very affordable. They're going to take care of everything for you. Tahir took care of everything for us. So is it possible to start my business from America, then come here and apply for residency in the future? Or do I have to be in the country to set up a company?
No, it's totally possible for you to register the business, either yourself, the sole proprietorship through e-Albania, or with the power of attorney, someone in Albania can open that for you. You don't need to physically be here, for sure. But when it comes to applying for the residency as a business owner, then you would need to be inside the country to do that.
Okay. Well, what about a bank account? I want to open a business. I'm still in America. Can I set up a bank account remotely? Can somebody help with that? Or would I have to come here to do that?
Unfortunately, you will have to physically be here to open the accounts. You could hire someone later to manage it, but when it comes to the first time opening it, you would need to physically be here to do that.
Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, you could technically open your business before you got here. I guess I would tell you, you probably don't really need to though. Do your planning, find your attorney, make sure you have all of your documents in order, arrive, and get the process started. Another question that we get a lot is about language in Albania. Do people speak English? I would tell you that English is pretty prevalent in most people, what, under 40? They
Yeah,
know
yeah.
some English, and it's pretty good. So if you're a tech company, if you need support with customer service, things like that, this is potentially a great place to set something like that up. There's a huge demand for technology in this country. Um, Coming from the US, I would say Albania is many years behind in tech. So there's a lot of innovation that you could bring here.
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of skilled IT technicians here in Albania that could be employees. At the same time, there are not a lot of big tech businesses here. So I think that, for tech businesses, there's a huge opportunity because they could even hire here locally and not spend as much money on employees like they would do in the US or anywhere else.
What is the minimum wage in Albania? How does that work?
Well, the minimum wage in Albania currently is 40,000 lek, which is around 400 euros. And I would say the medium would be at around 800 euros.
A month?
Yeah, a month.
800 euros a month is the medium wage here. So maybe keep that in mind if you're thinking about coming to Albania to get a job. But if you're coming to Albania to start a business, that can be really advantageous. So this is a really cool place to build a startup. There are so many opportunities. Let's use rideshare, for example. There's not really a rideshare company that has infiltrated the country. I think there is like an online app or two for taxis in Tirana. But beyond that, there's the huge demand.
Yeah, there are some local apps which are similar, but not the big apps itself. They're not really here. So I would say, again, not a lot of international apps or tech companies are here really.
Guys, there's not a McDonald's here. there, there are so many things that are not in Albania that you can potentially do.
There is a Burger King, but yeah, there's not a McDonald's, unfortunately.
Well, let's not get into a debate about fast food. But if you have the inclination to operate a business, if this is something that you do, that you have a skill set for, if you have a passion for, if you have an interest for, there's opportunity here. There's huge opportunity here. And again, it's a straightforward path to residency, and it's a lot more likely that you're going to get a lot longer residency permit taking that path than maybe a digital nomad permit, from my understanding.
Yeah, there's so much opportunity, so many huge advantages to it, and very little paperwork for that.
Albania needs you. Albania needs innovative people that are willing to start a business. There is a huge opportunity here for people to capitalize on. There is huge opportunity in Albania in a multitude of sectors. Albania needs you. Albania needs innovation. Albania is hungry for that. So if you have an interest in starting a business, you should really look at this country. There's opportunity everywhere. When we landed initially over a year ago, we just started looking around, and Spencer and I had one discussion after another. Here's a business opportunity. Here's a business opportunity. And that continues today. I feel like there's an opportunity around every corner. I mean, to give you one really, really clear example, no one really manages their Google profile in Albania. It's literally a foreign concept. So you could come set up a business to help people get their Google account set up properly.
Yeah, Sam, you said it perfectly. There's tremendous opportunity for business. There's huge advantage to it, and very few paperwork for that.
We talked about tech a lot in this, but there's opportunity for everything. Meditation retreats, you name it, there's probably a place for it. So guys, please continue to follow along. We're going to continue to bring you the best content we can every Tuesday and Thursday. Subscribe, follow us, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thank you for following.
Bye.